Hello once again, wrestling fans, and welcome to Off the Top Rope Radio, heard worldwide on KQCK radio stations. I'm your host, Brian Shank, and in the next hour, we'll discuss all that is professional wrestling. You'll hear the latest news, informative interviews with the biggest stars in the business, and maybe even a few surprises along the way. It all starts right now on KQCK radio stations, USA and Costa Rica. There you go, little Doors action there for you. I thought I was going to be showing the door the other day, but actually I was welcome back home, so we'll leave it at that. Anyway, how you doing, everybody? Welcome to Off the Top Rope Radio right here on KQCK, heard exclusively worldwide on KQCK.com. We welcome you to Off the Top Rope Radio. My name is Brian Shank. I'm the host of the program. About 59 minutes of professional wrestling talk right here on good old KQCK. We do welcome you for this Thursday, June the 19th, the year 2014. I can't believe it's already the middle of the year. Where did time go? So many pay-per-views, so many TV shows, so many things changing in the world of professional wrestling. So we're going to talk all about that and much, much more in here in a moment or two. I'll let everybody know that we're going to be talking a little bit more about what's going on coming up here in just about a month from now. Click Jab Wrestling. That's right. Some of the great things going on here with Click Jab Wrestling. You definitely want to be a part of this. We're going to be seeing people like Ric Flair, Goldberg. We're going to be seeing Bret the Hitman Hart, Adam Copeland, formerly known as, of course, Edge, and some of the great ladies out there. I can't wait to see this. It's going to be coming to Phoenix and to Tucson. It's going to be July 19th in Phoenix and July 20th in Tucson. That's a Saturday and Sunday. Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Sean Waltman, I mean, they're all going to be there. This is going to be a tremendous, tremendous event. And there's been some other stuff coming around here that we're going to be announcing next week right here on Off the Top Rope Radio. So for you who live in anywhere in the area of Phoenix and Tucson, go check out Click Jab Wrestling up on Facebook. It's right there. Click Jab Events, Click Jab Productions, Click Jab Entertainment. It's all right there. And we're going to be having a great time with that. And next week, that's right, the 26th, in studio, I'll have Chris Click, who is the promoter extraordinaire for this fine wrestling fan fest taking place on July 19th and July 20th. They'll be on Saturday and Sunday in Phoenix and in Tucson, Arizona. All the greats will be there. We'll have some more word about that near the end of the show. I'll read a little bit more about it. And next week, right here in studio, we'll have Chris Click talking about it. Plus, we'll have a little interview with somebody who's going to be part of that fantastic fan fest. So make sure you please join us for that. I'm sure that you will definitely enjoy this one way or the other if you live anywhere near Tucson or Phoenix. It's broken up pretty good because that's about a good 140-mile radius there in between the two shows, so you can get down to one of them, I am sure. So we'll talk more about that later. And like I said, Chris Click will be in studio next week with us right here on Off the Top Rope Radio. I'm looking very forward to it. So, all right, without further ado, I'm also looking forward to talking to my next guest. He's a good friend of mine, someone who definitely knows a lot about the business and what's going on recently here and in the current product that we're getting by WWE. And, you know, there's some things coming up, too, here that I'm looking forward to. We talked about it last week, Money in the Bank. Kind of a surprise pay-per-view right now. What's going to happen, we don't know. We saw something on Raw here last week that may kind of shift the tide, so to speak, in the WWE's picture of the championship people holding it, of course. So we'll see what's going to happen there. I'm going to bring on my buddy here right now, Doug McDonald. He's the senior editor of WrestlingRumors.net. And if you don't get a chance to go to that website, then damn it, you better make it a part of your day. Join him on Facebook. Go to it every day. Like it. Learn to love it. Check him out on Twitter. It's all there, WrestlingRumors.net. And here is, without further ado, Doug McDonald, formerly known, and affectionately known, that is, as Dougie Fresh. What's up, big man?
Yep. What's up, sir?
Just trying to cover so much here in the first 5 minutes of the show. It's like crazy, man. There's all kinds of things going on. That's why I look forward to you coming on, because I turn the mic over to you and let you go with it. But, yeah, an interesting week in professional wrestling. We saw one of the writers get fired from the Raw product, so
yes,
that is no more. And I'll tell you something else, Doug. It seemed like you could tell right away from Monday Night Raw some things were different that you maybe may not have expected to see had the current writer been still on board. So let's run it all down. Let's talk about what happened here lately. Let's talk about some of the news going on. You go ahead and lead off, and I'll just follow you.
Yep, so you and I talked last week about the 11 guys and gals that got it released.
Yes.
Well, the next day, on Friday, the 13th.
Very lucky.
Yeah, Friday the 13th, they got another released, and that was the head writer for Raw. Now, he didn't really write anything, Jay Gibson. He was just the organizer. He was the head, and he'd only been there for 5 months. So they keep having this issue where they bring in people for this position.
Mm-hmm.
They're there for 5 or 6 months, and they're fired.
Mm-hmm.
And the issue is that they're getting guys that have no idea anything about the business.
I know.
This guy had no clue about what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, got fired for that. Now, you say that things changed on Raw. The only noticeable difference was the humor sketch.
That's what I was talking, yeah. I was talking more about the humor stuff, yeah.
Yeah, Vicky Guerrero and Stephanie McMahon, for sure. That was all Vince.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That had Vince stamped all over it.
Could you tell?
That was completely Vince McMahon, and he loves that kind of stuff. I mean, just think about Mae Young in the hand.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that was Vince McMahon, right? So the Spirit Squad and the poop from, up top of the arena, that was Vince McMahon. So Vince is going to do more of the, I mean, he's had the last say in everything on TV anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're looking to cut budget. Guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Get rid of him. So Triple H and Vince are basically handling the last-minute decisions on everything.
Right.
As far as TV goes. And Triple H wants to go more towards telling the stories in the ring, making it a wrestling show. And, of course, Vince still focuses on the entertainment side more.
Yeah, and that's evident. That's evident because if you look at the last, I don't know, couple of years even, Doug, they've kind of taken the wrestling word actually out of the whole title in terms of how they describe their product. And, we talked about how, I guess there's been reports, I don't know for sure, but what you read on the internet is what you go on with face value, is that supposedly Vince McMahon does not like to use the term face and heel, or have baby faces or, heels and good guys and bad guys, so to speak. And, if I remember correctly, when you want to make a cake, okay, you have to have certain things to make a cake. You gotta have a bowl, gotta have a whisk. You gotta have one important thing: eggs. Because if you don't have eggs in your cake, it's a frisbee. Okay, that's all there is you can say about it. So to me, it's like the simple ingredient going into a cake would be eggs. And to me, the simple formula in wrestling, to me, has always been good guy, bad guy. Now, unfortunately, sometimes the fans want to cheer for the bad guy, and they want to boo the good guy, a la Bray Wyatt, a la John Cena. It looks like, obviously, there's more cheers for Bray, more boos for John. And I'm bringing this up for a reason. Did you notice on Raw how much John Cena is turning in to Hulk Hogan? And I'm going to ask you if you know what I mean by that before I explain. Now, let's see if you know what I'm talking about.
He's been Hulk Hogan for years.
Okay.
I have called him Hulk Hogan for years.
But the reason why I say that, and I just want to touch on this, and I'll let you go on it, because when I saw John Cena doing his promo backstage with the lovely Renee Young, he was sitting there talking about, putting people over, talking about how great Daniel Bryan is, talking about how great everybody is. And if you remember Hogan back in the day, Hogan did the same thing. But after Hulk Hogan would build somebody up and make them his best friend and everything else, most of the time that person would basically shit can him, knock the hell out of him, and turn on him. A la Randy Macho Man Savage, a la Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, a la Typhoon/Tugboat. I mean, it's been an ongoing process in the past with them trying to build up, and then it goes on from there. Now, with John Cena doing this, it reminds me so much of Hulk Hogan, I would say around 1989, 1990. And then for some fans who haven't watched that far back, they may not know what the hell I'm talking about, but I watched John Cena's promo very carefully on Raw, and I said to myself, damn, if this isn't Hogan, and like you made a good point, for a long time it's been kind of his way, it just seems so evident that that's what they're kind of going with by just really turning him loose to do the way out there kind of over-the-top babyface type of promos. Some like it, some don't. Some didn't like Hogan's, some did. But it's very scary in how reminiscent it is and how the ball just keeps bouncing in that same direction.
It's so cyclical. I mean, this business is so cyclical. And he is that guy. He is Hulk Hogan of this generation.
Brother.
The biggest thing that you can take away from Monday night as far as fans go, fans are stupid. And I have to say that with a grain of salt. People hear me. I think there was a guy on our website that's writing opinion articles, Bryant Byrne, put out an excellent column today.
Okay.
And the title of it was, WWE Universe, you were part of the problem. We've got to get where we're fans of the product again, instead of fans of our own opinions on what the product should be. Because chanting CM Punk for 12 minutes during an excellent Bray Wyatt-Sheamus match on Raw, it's just a big F you to those two guys that are in the ring.
I totally agree with you.
It's starting to get ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree.
CM Punk quit 6 months ago. He's gone. He did what he wanted to do. He left.
Right.
He turned on the fans. He's married to a former diva who has yet to be seen come back yet.
Right.
They got married last week.
They did mention her name on the show, though. They did bring up AJ when they were doing. Yeah,
she's coming back.
Right, she's going to come back.
It's just one of those things where it's going to be super awkward for her. I don't know how long she'll last.
I don't either. I was thinking the same thing when they said her name. I was like, wow.
But you got this guy who's gone. Fine, let him do his thing. Don't chant his name when you're bored and you just want to hear your own voice.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like, how can you be bored during a Bray Wyatt-Sheamus match?
Yeah. Well,
why are you booing? I mean, Bray Wyatt is not a heel character right now. He's not. He wouldn't give the promos that he gave.
Mentioning the cities.
On Friday and on Monday. And he wouldn't do the cheap pops when he's coming out.
Yeah.
He's a face. I don't care what anybody says, and he'll be full-blown face in the next couple months.
Well,
I guarantee it.
I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to talk to you about that. I got that here in my notes, and we're talking to my buddy Doug McDonald here from WrestlingRumors.net, senior editor-in-chief. But, I'm glad you brought that up because I did want to make that known is, by him saying the name of the city, a la Mick Foley. It was always a cheap pop. It was always something that a babyface did to get over, and it works. Now, my question is that even though he's still technically, in a lot of people's eyes, the heel, so to speak, will he, when I saw him standing there the other night in the middle between the other two gentlemen there, and I said to myself, I expect somewhere down the road these other two are going to have a little bit of chaos, a little mutiny on the ship, jump him, therefore elevating him to that level of being the babyface. I think that's really the best way they can probably go about this, because how do you explain him departing from them without maybe having some sort of push from them? I just think that that's probably in the cards.
I don't even foresee them splitting. The other two are going to be face too.
You think so? No,
the entire family's going to be face.
I don't know. I don't.
I mean, everybody pops for Harper.
Yeah, I know.
He's too good. They're all too good. And that's the thing, is that they're so good at being bad that now they're good.
Yeah.
And the fans want to cheer them. I mean, that's what happens with everybody. This is not anything new. This is the same formula that we've seen over and over again, just like Cena and Hogan.
It goes back to the NWO.
Yeah.
The cool heel.
This is the day and age we're in. The cool heels are going to get cheered.
Yep. No, you're right.
I mean, the bad guy was the first, he was, Scott Hall made that transition seem cool.
Say hello to
Piper
the
in the 80s, even though most people would say in the 80s when you were watching Piper, you wanted to kill him.
Oh yeah, sure. Not me. I always wanted to love him. I always loved him.
Now in the 90s, that's when the transition kind of started. Right, Piper. You wanted to cheer him.
Right.
He was such an ass that you couldn't.
Right.
And then it was when he finally turned face, everybody became an icon, and he could never be heel again. And that's what happens, is that when they finally turn, like Stone Cold Steve Austin, even though he had a technical heel turn in 2001, he never fully went heel again.
Yeah, and The Rock too. I mean, The Rock
can't do it. The Rock too in 2003.
Right.
You can't do it.
Right. No, you can't.
So,
and you think about, you can go back to Hogan. I mean, in '97, okay, well, or '96 it was. He turned heel there, but
everybody's cheering him.
Everybody was cheering him, and you know what? They liked him better as the heel Hogan.
Him.
Yeah.
Yes, they were booing him for an entire year and a half before that.
I know. They were
as the face.
Right. They were sick of it. Hey, I want to read something really quick here, Doug, to you because a good friend of ours, Diggity Dak, he's a big fan of the show, and he says here, "Hey, Shank, I shared WrestlingRumors.net link with my Facebook friends, specifically the ones who are pro wrestling fans too, and with my Twitter followers at Diggity Dak. I'm looking forward to hearing Doug on the show today and all his thoughts on all professional wrestling, and later on your interview with Jimmy Garvin." So that's going out to Diggity Dak. He's a fan of our show, and he's sharing your information out there. So that's what we do. We're fans of the product. Of the business, and we share our stuff out there. So thank you, Diggity Dak. There you go.
Big thanks, Diggity Dak, for sure. If I want to split off of WWE for a second, so
please.
We got a little bit more time, and we can talk about Money in the Bank after this. But since I know you're a TNA fan, I wanted to touch on TNA because I actually did watch Slammiversary. I went back and watched it a couple nights ago. Not a bad show.
Not bad.
Wasn't perfect by any means, but it wasn't a bad show, and the crowd actually made it better.
Yeah.
They actually had a decent crowd in Dallas.
Yeah.
And Dallas has such rich wrestling history with Von Erichsen. That was really cool to see Kevin there.
Oh, huge.
But the event was not bad. I thought that some of the matches were really good, and I think that their show tonight should be okay. I think that they're starting to get a little bit more legs underneath them. I just still don't think they have any idea what they want to do and how they want to expand and how they want to try to grow their company. Now they're asking fans whether or not they want a 6-sided ring back or not.
Right. Yeah.
And you know what? You don't give the fans that kind of leeway. These are your performers are the ones that have to be comfortable enough to work a 6-sided ring.
It's funny.
That's one of the things you talked to Christian, you talked to Scott Hall, some other guys that had to transition into that. It's awkward.
It is, yeah. And now the ones
to transition to a 6-sided ring.
Yeah, and then to transfer to a 6-sided ring and to come back to a 4-sided ring, obviously that's what you learned on the 4-sided ring, and now for them to do this, I mean, to me it's like, okay, the ring, does it really add that much more of something? You know what I mean? Does it really add more to the product? To me, it's like, the guys inside the ring, the girls inside the ring, the people inside the ring, the ones that are telling the story. Here's the thing. I don't give a shit about the ring. It could be a triangle for all I care, okay? But the thing is that I want to see them put on a great product. I want them to tell stories. I want them to build their product. I want them to really follow through with the psychology and the storytelling that the product needs. And they are turning a corner a little bit here. I want to see them maybe back off a little bit from the copycat storylines. And by that I mean when they did the Daniel Bryan thing with Eric Young, the whole thing with Bobby Lashley, and everything going on with MVP, I want to say in TNA, MVP and everything. It's too reminiscent of the Authority. If they could just branch out and stay on their own and just be original, and either fail by that or succeed by that. Because if you succeed, all right, great. If you fail by it, okay, you failed by it, but you did your own thing. That's what they need to do. So,
and see, I think their way of trying to go back to being original is given the option of having a 6-sided ring back, because that was original for them.
Yeah.
Well, get back to being original storyline-wise, JB. That it's bad. It's bad that you're copycatting everything.
Yeah, I know.
So they have talent. Matt Hardy's coming back. Ring of Honor. The pay-per-view this Sunday is his last Ring of Honor show for a while.
Right.
So the Hardy Boys, I would assume Willow's not going to be Willow anymore.
I hope not.
These are the
I hope not.
So it's got to be the Hardy Boys if they're promoting the Hardy Boys on the website.
Yeah.
So they got the talent. Even though I hate Bobby Lashley with everything in me, I hope that they get the creative part better.
Well, he beat Samoa Joe, so he's a winner. No, I know what you're saying.
That doesn't mean anything to me. He's terrible.
Do you not like him because of his in-ring ability or his personality or a little bit of both? I mean, what is your hatred towards?
It's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of both in the way he disrespects the business.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing for me is that he's never had charisma.
Yeah.
He's never been able to connect to the crowd, especially not to me. And he's stiff in the ring. I don't know. I've never liked him.
He's kind of like the Lance Storm of 2014, I guess you could say. But
I could appreciate Lance Storm in the ring.
Yeah, I did too. And I liked when in WCW when they tried to take Lance Storm and make him, build on his strengths, which were him being weak on the microphone. And they did that, and it looked good. I mean, it was funny. You know what I mean? They made it into a storyline, into his character, into his persona, and it worked. I mean, it worked. So, but I know what you mean. The biggest thing that I looked forward to in this was to see Kevin Von Erich, and I'm going to probably have Kevin on the show here sometime before the end of July, because I definitely want to get Kevin on here once again. He talked about his sons to me in the interview back last year, and he was very excited about Marshall and Ross. He said there's going to be a turn of the corner, there's going to be a changing of the guard, there's going to be the Von Erich buzz once again in the wrestling world, and I didn't really know what to expect out of it, but I got to give props. Marshall and Ross, it's a little bit of going back in time 30 years ago, kind of reminiscent of seeing Mike and Kerry and David and even Chris for a while before they all passed on, and kind of seeing this. It's bringing some excitement back, and how great was it to see Kevin Von Erich put that claw back on? That was awesome, man.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Oh.
That was awesome. We got a couple more minutes. Do you want to talk about Money in the Bank?
Yeah, let's go on with that, because I want to ask you a few things about Money in the Bank. We did see a couple things, the traditional Money in the Bank ladder match. Now we have Seth Rollins in that. He defeated Dolph Ziggler. Dirk Diggler is what I was saying. See where my brain is today. But Roman Reigns wins the Battle Royal to be the final participant in the World Heavyweight Championship ladder match in Money in the Bank coming up June 29th. It's going to be in Boston at the old Garden there. So now we have Randy Orton, Alberto Del Rio, Sheamus, Cesaro, Bray Wyatt, John Cena, and Roman Reigns. Those 7 people right there, I'm very excited, because I want to say, I will say this. If 2 months ago you told me Sheamus was going to be in this, I'd be like, but now he won the U.S. title the way he did. He's really coming on strong here, having some really good, excellent matches. And like you and I talked about too, Doug, it looks like they're putting more emphasis on the Intercontinental Championship matches now with Bad News Barrett, and now with the U.S. title matches with Sheamus. So by doing that on TV, building that up, making some interest and making it important, just like we talked about a moment ago with TNA, what they need to do as well, that's what the WWE has been doing. They've been putting some emphasis on those titles and those people who hold those titles. So I'm excited to see Sheamus in this match. He had a great match with Bray Wyatt. You talked about it a moment ago. I'm looking forward to this one.
I'm looking forward to it too. You say the thing with WWE where they're building up these 2 mid-card titles. I just don't understand why they can't build up everything at one time. Mm-hmm. Because now our tag team division sucks.
Yeah. Well,
again, it's like they had started focusing on building some new tag teams. Mm-hmm. And now we have Stardust and Goldust. We'll see how that goes.
Well, I got to ask you about that. Let's break away just for a second, because sometimes my brain doesn't always go. What do you think about Stardust? I have to admit with you, I didn't know when I first saw him come out with his back to us. I didn't know it was him right away. I didn't know it was Cody Rhodes. And then when I saw him turn around, I'm like, oh my God.
We knew it was him. Yeah. We reported it earlier in the day. We knew it was going to be Cody.
I had a hell of a Monday.
But I thought it was hilarious. I honestly... I still don't know how to react to it yet. I need more time.
I like it. I think it was good. I thought
it got people talking about it.
Yeah.
It also produced one of the funniest memes on the internet that I've ever seen in my life, where the last image of him up at the ramp, he gave this creepy smile.
Yeah.
And everyone has taken that picture and made something really hilarious out of it. It's fantastic. But let's get back to the match.
Please.
The beauty part of the title ladder match is it's unpredictable. Mm-hmm. Cena, of course, is your safe choice as a champion, especially as a placeholder champion. Mm-hmm. But I honestly can't say that Bray Wyatt would be a bad choice here for the next couple months.
Well, here's my thought on that.
It's like a man. He's like Mankind. He's like Mick Foley as a transitional champion.
Right.
He doesn't need to hold the belt.
Right.
See, the thing is that if you're gonna build Cesaro and you're gonna build
Roman Reigns,
Del Rio's gone. He's not winning the title.
No.
Okay? He's gonna be leaving in a month anyway.
Yeah.
That's obvious.
Yeah.
Orton doesn't need it.
Nope.
But could hold it and be a fine transitional champion.
Sheamus already has the belt.
Doesn't need it.
Yeah.
It would do wonders for Sheamus. It would build him up again, but he has the U.S. title. I don't see that happen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it really comes down to Cesaro, Wyatt, Reigns, and Cena for me. Those four are your four that actually could win the title. With Cesaro, if he wins the title and then loses it at SummerSlam, that kills his push. Mm-hmm. hurts his character. I don't think they could do that. There's more value in the chase of Cesaro going after Brock Lesnar if Brock Lesnar beats the champion at SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm.
So, if it's Cena, that can be fine. Lesnar's beat Cena before.
Mm-hmm.
You could do Cena as the champion at Battleground and then against Lesnar at SummerSlam, and that's a big money match. So I could see that happening, and it'd be safe and benefit. Then Cesaro could take it off of Lesnar at Night of Champions. Reigns, it's too early. And we know that Reigns is going to be facing Triple H at SummerSlam, and I wouldn't be surprised if Reigns goes all the way to WrestleMania 31, and at WrestleMania 31, Roman Reigns wins the title.
Yeah, I think it's too early for Roman Reigns to win anything right now. It's just too early, and I think that they really need to build more on this. I mean, he's got a great momentum going, but so does Bray Wyatt in that sense, and I don't want to see Bray Wyatt maybe have to be a champion for the next 6 or 8 months because, like you said, he doesn't need the title. He just doesn't.
He doesn't need the title. That's the beauty part about it. And this is the perfect, I've said this on multiple shows, on WrestlingRumors.net and on our podcast, this is the perfect time for Bray Wyatt to become WWE World Heavyweight Champion for the first time.
Right.
He doesn't, I didn't want him to come out and say that he wants to be champion. And because that's a face move. And he came out Monday night and said he wants all the power in the company, and the most powerful person in the company is the champion.
Right.
And so now he's saying he wants to be champion. He's full face just from that promo.
Mm-hmm.
And to say that makes me feel like, okay, now that he says he wants it, I would not be surprised to see the entire Wyatt family leave with gold on Sunday.
I could see it happening with the tag team belts. I'm just a little bit reprehensive about him winning the title myself with Bray Wyatt. I don't know.
But just think about it. Because if he wins,
excuse me,
if he wins, it's not going to hurt his character to lose it in 2 months.
Yeah.
At all, because he doesn't. He's a god. That's his whole character. He's a god.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't need the titles.
Yeah.
So it's not going to hurt him. It's not going to hurt Cena either.
Right.
It would hurt Cesaro, and
Yeah.
it would hurt Reigns. So you're two, if you want to throw Orton in, you can, but I just don't see Orton in this thing. You're two legitimate possible winners for the title at Money in the Bank are Bray Wyatt and John Cena, and they're the ones that have had a program with each other in the first place.
I'm going with John Cena. I just think it makes more sense. Right now, they're pushing the hell out of him on TV. He came out and had that big...
I need another week of TV.
Yeah.
I need another week of TV. I'm not going to make a prediction.
Okay.
Yet. I don't have to. But
Well,
I'm saying it's between those two.
We'll do it next
Can't
week.
be between anybody else.
We'll do it next week for sure, you and I, and we'll run down our predictions and whatnot. And like you said, I think another week of TV will definitely do it. It'll kind of hold that little, that little mystery at hand for us. So, but listen, Doug, we got to get out of here, man. But always a pleasure as usual. I thank you for calling and everything and being a part of it. And again, if you guys want to check out some great wrestling information, some awesome news and views of the wrestling world, just go to WrestlingRumors.net. Join them on Facebook. You get those nice updates in your news feed every time. They do a great job over there, and they'll keep you updated with what's going on in wrestling. So thanks for that, my friend, and have a good week, and we'll talk to you next Thursday for sure, brother.
Thank you, sir. I'll catch you on the next one.
Sounds good, man. Take good care. All right, Dougie Fresh joining us there from WrestlingRumors.net, and I suggest that you get on over and check out that website because you will enjoy it if you don't already. So we're going to be coming back here in a moment or two with our interview. Mr. Jimmy Jam Garvin, that's right, gorgeous Jimmy Garvin will be joining us here on Off the Top Rope Radio. I can't wait to hear. If you want any questions answered, send them to me at brian@kqckradio.com.
Are you having plumbing or septic problems? No worries. Call Cartwright's Queen Creek Plumbing and Septic Service. Been in the Valley since 1996. Family owned and operated. Proudly serving East Valley and surrounding areas. With a full range of services from drain cleaning, septic tank pumping, general maintenance and repairs, inspections for the sale of your home. They provide excellent and courteous service for all your plumbing and septic needs. We're not satisfied till you are satisfied. Licensed, bonded, and insured. Call today. Cartwright's Queen Creek Plumbing and Septic Service. Contact Denise at 480-987-8051. That's 480-987-8051. Hi, Marie here for wannasing.com. Are you looking for professional DJ or karaoke services for your next holiday party or get-together? wannasing.com can provide the best in sound, lighting, and a professional MC to host your next event. Whether it be a company party, birthday party, wedding, or any occasion, wannasing.com is ready to provide the fun and make it a night to remember for years to come. Call 480-664-8801. That's 480-664-8801. Mention this radio ad and receive a special discount for your next fun event. wannasing.com. When you visit Hill Family Dentist.
Yeah. Clean shirt, new shoes. I don't know where I'm going to, but I'll tell you where I am at right now. That's at KQCK Studios right here in Santan Valley, Arizona. The East Valley, enjoying the beautiful sunshine today, and also enjoying one of my favorite guys in the world, at least one of my top 10 of all time. I'm not kidding you, and I always loved his wrestling style. If you couldn't get excited when you heard Sharp-Dressed Man kicking on the big speakers inside the arenas, him coming out with the boa, strutting, looking his best, he had Precious over there spraying the air wick and everything else. It was fantastic. It was the days of wrestling that I remember and I endear and I love so much, and I'm glad to have him as a great friend of mine and my next guest right now. Let's welcome one of the best wrestlers to ever step foot inside the ring. It's not his fault. He's Mr. Gorgeous, Jimmy Jam Garvin. How you doing, Jimmy?
I'm doing good, sir. Yourself?
I'm doing wonderful, if you couldn't tell me. I'm excited to have you on the show. I got 2 pictures of you up here. I got the autograph picture from way back when. I've got you up there with the pink boa, and the other one is the green sequin jacket. You never looked as good as you did back in those days, baby. I'll tell you right now, you were a sharp-dressed man. There's no doubt about it.
Well, thank you so much, and it's a pleasure to talk to you again. It's been a little while, but it's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I know last week we tried to arrange something, but unfortunately we had some things there, and that's just part of life. You know, sometimes things don't work out, and I'm glad that we could do it this week and have you on the show and talk about your career and what you've been doing now and everything. And, you know, I had you on the show because obviously you're one of my favorites. You're a great guy. We had some really nice talks off the air about life and about, marriage and about this and that and everything else. And I like that. You know, it's not just about wrestling. We can talk about other things, and, you know, that's special and everything else. When you get out here in Phoenix sometime, give me a heads up, or at least when you land, and we'll get out there and we'll have a beer together and enjoy ourselves. And, I have some cool things to talk to you about because, as you know, Michael Hayes, a couple weeks ago at the Cauliflower Alley Club in Las Vegas, Nevada, he won the Lou Thez Award, which is a prestigious award in any wrestling category. And he mentioned you a few times in his speech about being the free bird that you were, and it was awesome to hear your name out there and whatever else, and it was great to just kind of reflect in my mind all those matches you had as a tag team in WCW for so long, holding the U.S. title and the tag team titles. Let's talk a little bit about what you're doing now, and then we'll kind of just, go from there and have a good time. What is Jimmy Jam Garvin doing these days?
Well, since I retired in '92, I've spent the past years since then flying, and I'm flying still, and just enjoying myself, playing a little golf and collecting a few cars, and enjoy still chasing Precious around the house, even though I'm a little slower now, but that's okay. I know I still can manage. Yeah. But everything is good. Life is good. I've been blessed my whole career, 23 years in wrestling, and now going on, 20 years almost with the flying career. So everything is good. I have no complaints.
Well, we talked about it too off the air when you and I were having some nice chats last week, and I said it's nice to see people who are out there who have moved on from the wrestling world successfully, because sometimes people get stuck in a rut. They wrestle until they can't even walk anymore. You got out when you wanted to, and you knew that it was time, and that you had your fill, and that you had a great career as a professional wrestler, and now you're having a great career as a pilot. And explain a little bit, if you could, about what you do. You don't have to get too much in detail, but do you work for a particular service? Do you own your own plane? Do you own your own business? I mean, I know last time we talked, you talked about how you flew, maybe some celebrities around, some CEOs, people who rent out the planes and hire you. What exactly is it on your job that you do? Because it sounds very interesting.
Actually, I've been a captain for NetJets Aviation.
Nice.
Going on, it'll be 14 years this September. And for those that don't know, NetJets is the #1 private carrier in the world. Go to 130 or 40 different countries. We're owned by Warren Buffett out of Omaha. And it's the best flying job that a man could have. It's, to me, not even really a job. It's something I enjoy doing. We fly the best equipment in the world, and as far as I'm concerned, the best trained pilots in the world.
Excellent.
So it is the top of the top. There's nobody that does it better than we do it, and I'm just proud to be a part of that team.
That is so cool.
So I travel, all over the place, and I never know where I'm going, but I know that wherever it's going to be exciting and always never boring.
That's cool. You know, I always had a problem with flying in my younger years. I had one bad experience when I was a kid going to Florida from Chicago. We hit some kind of turbulence or something. It basically scarred me for many years. But, you know, over the last 5 or 6 years since I moved out here to Arizona, my father's still back in Illinois. My mother's in Florida. And, you know, I've done a lot of traveling in those last 5 years because I said, you know what, it was my choice to come out here. Now I got to get back on there. Now I get on the plane. I have no worries. I know it's the safest way to travel. I enjoy it for the most part, you know, kind of flying over certain areas from like Phoenix to Vegas when I went. You know, flew right over the Grand Canyon at one point.
Absolutely. And you know, like the old saying goes, and it still stands true, you know, the most dangerous part of flying is driving to and from the airport.
You know, I just watched the movie Dumb and Dumber the other day. I'm sure you've probably seen that with Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels, and he was talking in the beginning. He goes, you know, actually, you know, you have more of a better chance of dying in a car accident on the way to the airport. And of course, he's not looking at the road while he's doing it, a la Jim Carrey, and it's very true. Yeah, but no, it sounds like a wonderful career, and I know you do it well. And I brought that up obviously to kind of give everybody an idea what you've been doing. Plus, this kind of segues into some questions I asked Michael Hayes the other week. I said, you know, I got Jimmy Jam coming on the phone. He is looking forward to coming on the show and talking a little bit about things. And I said, give me some good stuff. Give me something I can throw at him that only Michael Hayes and Jimmy Garvin would know if I asked him. And he replied back in like 5 minutes with these things. So I'm really looking forward to asking you these. You ready to go here?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. We were talking about flying, of course, and what you do for a living now. He says, ask him about talking Terry Gordy, that is, into taking flying lessons.
Right. Well, that didn't last a whole long time. It started going downhill when Terry was with his instructor, taxiing out to take his lesson, and he ran into a fuel truck. Luckily, nobody exploded, but I'd say it was pretty much downhill from there. That's the thing that comes to my mind when I think about Terry Gordy. God bless him; he was a great guy, but great wrestler and a lot of fun. A great person, a great dad, and a great husband.
Yeah.
Not so much in the pilot part.
He was great at everything except flying. I just laughed when you said, he hit a fuel truck, like it was just, you know, kind of in passing. Like, he hit a fuel truck, no big deal.
Yeah, he hit a fuel truck. I mean, only Terry Gordy can hit a fuel truck. You know?
I was thinking maybe he was going to hit like a traffic cone or a light bulb or something in the runway, but an actual fuel truck, that's something you don't want to do. That's a bad thing.
Yeah. The wing clip part of the truck, it wasn't quite as bad as it sounds, you know, but still, it makes for a good story, you know, in itself.
What was his reaction after that? He said, "I'm done, forget it, no more"?
No, he actually thought that he was going to be on the next shuttle to the moon, but of course that didn't happen either. You know, after the instructor, you know, came back to in the seat that he was sitting in, I think they had a long talk, and
nice.
And like I said, he never really went much further than that.
That's awesome. We're talking to gorgeous Jimmy Garvin right here on Off the Top Rope Radio with Brian Shank here, hanging with you. KQCK Radio. We're heard exclusively on KQCK.com. Worldwide, baby. USA, Costa Rica, around the world. We got fans everywhere, and it's a real pleasure to have you on the show today, Jimmy. You're a good friend, and I appreciate the time. Let's talk a bit more about Terry Gordy because, you know, he definitely was a tremendous talent. And when I had Michael on the phone last month, we talked about how the Freebirds, the original three, Buddy, Terry, and Michael, how they were just basically not looking all the same. They weren't your traditional group like the Four Horsemen, maybe for a while, all wearing suits at one time and coming out. Michael was Michael, Terry was Terry, and Buddy was Buddy. They were three different people and three different outfits, three different types of wrestlers, but it worked so well. And it was one of the greatest wrestling factions that I ever saw. The Freebirds are way up there on my list. It's just a tremendous group. What was so great about the Freebirds, in your opinion, back in the day? What did they revolutionize a lot of things with the music and with the...
Well, I can say that unlike the Four Horsemen, they weren't stooges, so they always did their own thing. I mean, they didn't really always follow the rules. That's what being a Freebird was. We didn't really care too much what other people said or thought or anything like that. They always did their own thing, and they weren't yes men, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. And they just they represented the Freebirds like they should have been, and that is they did what they wanted to do when they wanted to do it, and how they wanted to do it. Mm-hmm. And it just so happens that the way they chose to do it, with their style, being different from one another, was a great combination. All three of them great talents. Mm-hmm. Of course, with the exception of, again, Buddy, Terry Gordy couldn't fly, and Michael Hayes don't know how to pick out clothes. But other than, I don't know which one was worse or which one was more dangerous. Michael picking out his outfits or Terry flying.
It's kind of funny because Michael Hayes, when he sent me the interview, he said, make sure you send me a link of the interview. So, Michael, I'm sure by now you just heard that, and, I said nothing about your outfit. I thought you looked great in Vegas. Purple and white was...
yeah, sure he did. Yeah, Michael's the only guy I know that can wear like I think it was described as it was a purple long outfit with a big white hat and some purple shoes and probably purple socks and purple. I was going to say purple underwear, but he never was big into underwear either. But that's another story. But yeah, no. I mean, the words fashion and Michael don't go together.
My dad always told me when I was a kid, wearing the ripped up jeans and the concert T-shirts and all that stuff with the bandanas and everything back in the 80s, with the metal years. My dad would look at me and say, "Would you get dressed in a dark closet or something?" Jeez, So I don't know if that applies to Michael now, but I thought Michael looked strapping. He was a pimp daddy that night. He looked great, and he behaved.
He was a pimp, yeah. I'm with you there, bro.
He looked great, man. He was entertaining like anything else. It was great to see him.
Yeah, well, he is entertaining. There's no doubt. He and I love him. He's like a brother to me. So that's why I can talk like this because that's just the way it is.
Oh yeah. The first time that I ever met you was back in 1990. Oh gosh, was it 1995? 1995. You were working with Michael with the AWF, the American Wrestling Federation, owned by Paul Alperstein, and you were doing a lot of TV tapings back in the day, and one was at the Pheasant Run Theater in St. Charles, Illinois. And I'll never forget that interview with you guys because, first of all, I was kind of brand new in the business of broadcasting and doing my show, very wet behind the ears, very green, and I was, shaking because, I had Jimmy Garvin and Michael Hayes here, and they were going to do an interview with me, and they were very, very nice guys, and I was like, holy shit, what do I do? Oh, my God. So I'm trying to set up with my camera guy, and in the meantime, I'm sitting there trying to tell a story about a dog and a fisherman who his dog fell through the ice, and I said to you, you guys ever go ice fishing? This was off the interview, and you said, no, it's too cold. I'll just never forget that, and the interview was great because we did the interview, I had either one of you on either side of me, and I said, I'm kind of nervous here standing between the Freebirds, and you grabbed Mike and said, most people are nervous when they're between the Freebirds, me and Michael. So, great stuff, man.
That's true, too.
Yeah. Great stuff. Just those memories of yesteryear. And I have to send you that interview because your hair was really short back in the day at that time, and Michael still had the locks. And then it was kind of funny because in the interview I said, oh, there's Michael Hayes here. I can see your razor is rusted and your barber is bored. You're still going with the locks, huh? He goes, yeah, I'm still going with the locks.
Yeah.
Great stuff. So he had two more things on here I wanted to bring up because I definitely want to hear the answers to this because he replied so quick. He says, ask Jimmy the first night that we moved into the Freebird apartment.
Well, I don't know if it was the first night. It could have very well been. That was back in 1984 in Texas. Mm-hmm. And basically, I don't remember 1984 in Texas.
It's all
and
right.
I don't think Michael does either. I know that one night we came home and we went to go inside. Well, the door was locked, and neither one of us had a key. So Terry says, I can open it, and he backed up and kicked the door down. So we never locked the door anymore. Of course, we couldn't because it was off the hinges. So what we do when we leave is we just prop it up against the frame, and everybody in the apartment complex, I guess, knew who lived there. So, like, we could have left it open. Nobody would have dared went in there because they're fearing for their life in one way or another. So we had the door propped up on the frame. And then the Freebird apartment story is one time when we had sold out Reunion Arena, I don't know how many times in a row.
Uh-huh.
It was a lot, and we got the news that night that it sold out again, and again, this is many times in a row.
Sure.
And Buddy was so happy that he got up and did like a big flip in the living room on the coffee table, and broke that in half.
Oh,
and and about that time, the fire log that we had going in the fireplace was dwindling, so he thought that it would be perfect to just go ahead and burn the coffee table. So we
of course,
burned the coffee table, and then as that started to dwindle down, we burnt the rest of the furniture. We didn't burn the bed or nothing, or any of the beds or anything like that, because that would have been, I think we passed out before we got to them. But we did burn all the furniture in the fireplace.
Burn the bed. Good thing you didn't burn the bridge. You know what I'm saying? But
well, we didn't care about that either. Remember, I told you none of us were stooges. We didn't. Usually we'd blow the bridge up before we even got to it.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And, then figure out a way across of it. How to get across it. We certainly did the proverbial burning of the bridge.
That's great.
Bridges in our career.
Oh yeah.
And even to this day, I think we still feel the same. There's certain people that were office type people that we didn't care then, and we don't care now. I don't think we've really changed much other than getting older. Our mentality type stuff about that, especially involving wrestling, is we didn't care.
Well, I want to touch base on that a minute if I can, because you brought it up and you talked about the difference between the Horsemen and the Freebirds is we weren't stooges, and I know it's a term used in wrestling that are the ones that are kind of like the tattletales, the stool pigeons, so to speak, the stooge.
Office boys.
Office boys. Now, it's funny you brought that up because I had Dennis Condrey on the phone here a couple months ago promoting the big Mid-South reunion that we had in Chalmette, Louisiana, the same weekend of WrestleMania 30 down there in Louisiana. And we were talking about when Dennis Condrey and Bobby Eaton, he told me a story about how they went to Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon flew them in, wanted to bring them in, was going to make dolls and everything, had them all set to go. But as they flew back, I guess Bobby and Jimmy Cornette decided that they didn't want to do it, and that no one knew that they were going to see Vince McMahon. And when they got back, I guess there was word brought back to the office about them going up there. And I asked Dennis Condrey, and this is documented, so I'm not opening up any cans of worms or whatever else, but I asked Dennis on the interview, I said, well, how did they know that? Who told them that? And he spouted out right away. He said, Tully Blanchard. He said Tully Blanchard went right to whoever it was. I don't know if it was Jim Barnett at the time. No, it wasn't Jim Barnett. Probably it was. It was Jimmy Crockett, and went right to him and basically told him what was going on, and everything else. And he said that was the kind of person back in the day. He says, bar nothing, Tully had great talent. He was one of the greatest wrestlers and workers to ever step foot inside the ring. Tremendous, he said, but that's the kind of person he was. So I'm guessing based on your comments, it kind of is echoing that statement.
Yeah, you could pretty much say that. Yeah.
Did you have any heat with those guys back in the day when you were in NWA in the Jim Crockett?
I'm sure I did. I'm sure, maybe of course with Flair, because he was kind of he was deep into Dusty's derriere anyway. So they didn't really do us any favors if they didn't have to. The only reason they pushed us is because we drew money.
Well, sure, sure. Now, let me ask you a question, because this was something that was brought up by a few people on the internet. I was reading into it and stuff, and I wanted to go with you on this and ask you. You know, when Ronnie Garvin, your brother, quote unquote brother in the storyline business,
right.
when Ronnie won the title from Ric Flair, there was a lot of reports and people talking, saying, well, Ronnie won it because they obviously wanted to take the title off of Flair at the time, build up some momentum for him to win it back, and people were asked to win the title before Ronnie, but Ronnie said that he'll take it. He doesn't care if he's going to lose it again in 3 months or whatever. He'll go ahead and do this. Were you ever asked, Jimmy, or anybody else besides Ronnie, to take the title from Flair and then eventually win it 3 months later? And the reason why I asked that was because supposedly what we read and what we hear and these rumors and stuff like that, and that's why I'm trying to ask you the facts, is that was it declined because they thought, well, I don't want to hold the title for 3 months and then lose it back to Flair? I mean, was there any kind of supportiveness in this?
Well, the only thing I know is they definitely didn't ask me.
Okay.
Because once again, that I didn't. I didn't play their kind of ball games.
Okay.
So that wasn't going to work.
All right.
And Ronnie, of course, he knew that there was some money to be made there, even
Sure.
if it was a short period of time. You never leave money laying on the ground. I don't
No.
know if I don't know for a fact who they asked, or if they asked other people, or what. I didn't have a privy to that information.
Well, this may be a dumb question, but again, they always say there's no dumb questions, just dumb answers.
That's right, there's not.
But if you were asked at the time, maybe even say that cage match in '87 prior to Ronnie winning the title, if you were asked at that time to defeat Flair and then have to give it back to him in 3 months, would you have done it?
Oh yeah, I would have done it. Yeah. I would have probably done it.
Do you wish they would have asked you to do it? I mean, do you have any
No,
regrets?
I could care less.
Really? Okay.
I would have just said yeah, because if they ask, okay, yeah, I'll do it, because I wouldn't leave money laying on the ground either.
Right. And that's what Ronnie said in his interview. When I talked to Ronnie, he always went back to saying, hey, this was a business. I was a hired employee. I was there to make money. Just like if you were to go into a coal mine, or if you were to work at a warehouse, or push grocery baskets in the parking lot at a local Safeway, you were there to do a job and you were there to make money. And he says, that's what I did.
Yeah, that was it.
Cool. I like that. I like your answer. Gorgeous Jimmy Garvin hanging with us here on Off the Top Rope Radio on KQCK. Probably about another 8 minutes or so here before the show goes. And again, I do appreciate your time, buddy.
Hey, I don't want to interrupt you because you're on a flow, here with it. Did you have another question for me pertaining to Michael? Or
I did.
We all?
I had one more.
Okay.
Yeah, I had one more.
Go ahead and shoot that, and then I got to tell you something.
Oh, I'm great. I just love going all over the place. I have no structure. So here's the last one he said. He said, ask Jimmy about the last night we debuted, or the night that we debuted our song, I'm a Free Bird, and what's your excuse in Topeka, Kansas?
Yeah. I forgot what city that was in. I don't even really want to even try to think if I can remember the city it was in, but it was a pay-per-view, and the fireworks went off and the curtain went up, and there we were all ready to go, and somehow Dusty was in the truck controlling everything.
Oh no!
And for some unknown reason, we had no power to our microphones, so we had nothing. We had, and we were live as well, and we had no power whatsoever to the microphones. And which, I never could sing and never claimed that I could sing, but and Michael really can't sing, even though he thinks he can. I went back in the truck after. I went, what the heck happened to the thing? He goes, well, somehow we forgot to hit the switch.
Oh.
For the mic. Well, that was convenient, and I have my own opinion on what happened there. But yeah, that kind of sucked, But again, we didn't care. We did the best we could with what we had, and we went ahead and did the show. What are you going to do? You're live, and you got to do what you have to do.
It's funny you said that, and I didn't know the answer to these stories because this was something that Michael just threw at me, and obviously I didn't ask you about these ahead of time. This is all right from the shoot here. But it's funny you brought that up about that excuse being made, because when I had Wayne Ferris on here, the Honky Tonk Man, he brought up a very similar situation when it was him and Jim Ross and the Macho Man on commentary back on the old Superstars of Wrestling or Wrestling Challenge, weekly TV shows. He said the same thing. He said it was like they're, screwing with them, and for whatever reason they didn't, they had heat with them, or somebody had heat, or whatever else. They didn't play the game. He wasn't this, he wasn't that. He was his own guy. It sounds like a very similar situation. So how easy is it to press a button? And I'm not saying they did or didn't, or even Dusty did or did, but I'm just saying it's very reminiscent of what you just said.
Yeah, I mean, it could happen. I mean, there's plenty of ways to jack with somebody if you wanted to. I mean, that's just the way it went. But yeah, that's the answer to that one.
Cool.
As far as that goes, it kind of sucked. But again, life went on, and we kept going, and we still had a party that night, so it didn't mess with us at all. Now, I did write Michael a little email the other day.
Oh, did you?
Because somebody had told me about the Pat Patterson thing on the show where he came out of the so-called closet,
right?
And he was crying and all this stuff, and I said, Michael. I wrote him something like this. I don't know the exact words. I said, Michael, I said, I had to tell you that I had someone pull up this thing on Pat, doing this thing where he come out of the closet. I said, that's so stupid. I said, it's the same thing as if like Liberace came on TV and said, well, I'm going to come out of the closet and announce that he was gay.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like that. It was kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
And he told me, he wrote me back. He says, I hope you don't think I wrote that, And he says, and that was over 2 years ago or something. But I thought, holy crap, man! I don't watch too much. I don't watch any anymore, actually. But every time I run into different stories that are going on now, they just never cease to amaze me.
Yeah.
I mean, Pat coming out of the closet. My God, please.
Well,
like nobody knew. Are you kidding me?
It's funny. It's funny you said that, Jimmy, because when it did break on the stories out there, because I've got various links and people that send me stuff all the time, and WrestlingRumors.net, which is a great website, and he's actually my co-host, Doug McDonald. In the beginning of the show, we talk about the current stuff and what's going on in the wrestling world, and I switch over to yesteryear with guys like yourself and friends like yourself. But in these links, it said something about that, and all the comments from people were like, oh, okay, next thing they're going to say is that bread is white and that the sun is hot. Well, come on, people. We already knew all this, And I want to ask you a question about that. Now, they, that Legends house that they did. Now, and again, there's no stupid questions, but this, this is something I'm going to ask, and I want to get your opinion was that whole show, in your opinion, a total work?
Well, first of all, I didn't see the whole show. I just seen the part where Pat did his little thing, and everything is a work.
Okay.
Okay. And so I didn't see the whole show, but I didn't have to see the whole. I don't know if I could stand to see the whole show, but everything's a work. So I mean, yeah. I mean, stupid.
Yeah. Well, for some people it's entertainment. I don't have the WWE Network. I don't have it. And in my opinion, if I want to watch something, I've got a great DVD collection and VHS collection. I can pull up stuff anytime. I was telling you about it last week. I pulled up the match between you and Flair in the cage with the whole thing where, if Flair won, he got Precious for a while and stuff, and the whole thing where Ronnie dressed up as Miss Atlanta Lively and all that other stuff. So that's good stuff to me. Now, there is one thing I want to bring up because I loved it, and it was one of the funniest things that I saw in wrestling. And now, if we go back in time when people tried to bring humor and comedy skits and laughter into professional wrestling, sometimes it wasn't funny. Even to the present day, it's like, oh, okay, I know you were trying to go for that. It wasn't funny. But the one that I loved, and I watched it the other day because I wanted just to kind of refresh myself with you and some of your things in your career, the one that I absolutely loved, and it worked on all levels from beginning to end with everybody involved, including yourself, Precious, and David Von Erich. The whole thing where you had to be his quote-unquote slave on the farm, and you had to
the valet for a day.
The valet for the day. You had to wash the dog. You had to move the hay. You had to do things. Jimmy, that was absolute gold. Back when I first watched it in 84 or whatever it was, 83, 84, until just a few days ago when I pulled it up on YouTube, I watched that, and it was damn funny. And you know what else was great about it? It had a real excellent sense of realism to it. I mean, it really...
Well, because 80% of it was off the cuff. There was nothing written for it back then. I mean, everything was it just flowed naturally. Everything happened just naturally. So, and that's what makes stuff like that decent, because it's not canned, so to speak.
Yeah.
And that's why that's one of the reasons why that turned out so good. That was just all natural, plus the talent that was involved in that, to do that. Nobody would write our stuff, and we would, like they do today and stuff like that.
Funny as hell, man. I'm telling you, that was great.
Piece. That was a good piece.
Oh, great. I mean, because the one part is when David, I'm generally laughing because it's funny. It was really good. And you're sitting there taking all this shit from David, and you're like reminding him, David, I'm doing this because I have to. I'm telling you right now, I'm a man of honor, and I have to do it, and I will do it. But, and he just sit there and go, you shut up, Jimmy, whatever else. So the one part where you had to bring the bales of hay from one part to the other. You're like, okay, let's load up the truck. Hey, will you stop moving the truck? And you're holding the big bale of hay. And he's like, no, we're not using the truck. You're going to move it from here to there, and you're going to walk it. And then all of a sudden, you pick up the hay bale, and you look over at Precious, and you're like, hey, come on. We need to move this hay. Come on, baby. I'm not going to carry that for you. Let's go.
Yeah, she was following me empty-handed.
Yes, yes.
I said, what are you doing? Get a bale, get a bale. And then when he pulled the shotgun, that was a real loaded shotgun. I mean, that wasn't no blanks or anything like that. I said, David, look, make sure, bro. I'm gonna, I know what we got planned here, but don't slip up and shoot me with the shotgun, because that's gonna suck.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
that was
great times back then. That's when wrestling was wrestling, and
amen.
And I'm very appreciative of the fans that still, to dig back in and look at the good stuff when it was very creative and a lot of stuff happened just because it happened, not because it was meant to happen or supposed to happen, or because somebody that didn't know nothing about the wrestling business told them it was supposed to happen this way.
Right.
Well, hey, that's the way it goes.
And like I told you about a week ago when we talked, I mean, you called me about an hour after last week's show, and you said, I just landed. We just got through some traffic here in L.A. He says, you said, I'm sorry. I said, hey, don't apologize. We're friends because, we become friends over the years, and we don't talk as much as we probably like to, but it's nice to say that I can pick up the phone, and I can call Jimmy Garvin and text him, and we can just sit there and talk as friends, and that's the good thing about this business. And I do appreciate everything that you and Precious and everybody else who have given to this business. I mean, the blood, the sweat, the tears. You know what I'm saying, man?
But it's my pleasure, and Patty and I, Precious, this is our 42nd wedding anniversary this month.
Wow!
And next month will be our 45th anniversary together. So
amazing.
We have been truly blessed in all areas. Had a great career in the wrestling, enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. And now I'm enjoying a second career.
Awesome.
And having a blast.
Awesome. Jimmy, listen, man, it's been a pleasure having you here, buddy. I'm glad that I can call you friend. I'm glad that I can call you, period, and have you on the show and talk, because I really, really enjoyed this interview. Just great times, man, to reminisce. And I hope that we had some fun on your end, that you enjoyed it as well, kind of going back and, reminiscing a little bit.
No problem. And thank you to all the fans out there, too, that supported me all those years and that still kind of follow the old school stuff. I do appreciate all of them immensely.
Cool. And you know what else I got to do, Jimmy, before we go is I got to get something up on the wall. I got a wall of fame back here that we can't see in the studio, but I got people like Hogan and Ken Patera and Boris Zukov and Stan Hansen and Larry Zbyszko and these guys. I've got to get some sort of maybe some autographed picture from you up there. Can I send you something in the mail and you send it out to us here?
Yeah, just send me whatever you want. Send me a link. We can communicate as to what to do.
Yeah, we'll just text each other.
And I'll send you something if you want to do that. That'd be fine. Anything I can do for you, you let me know. And I want to nominate the Mulkeys for the Iron Mike Award next year.
The Mulkey brothers.
I mean the Mulkey brothers. Yeah. I mean Terry Taylor won it. What the hell? I mean the Mulkeys should have no problem at all.
Bill and Randy.
You know I was going to say something about that, didn't you?
I know you're going to say something. I wanted to leave it up to you if you're going to say something. We talked about this off the air, you and I, and some things about the Colorado Club. But Randy and Bill, they'd be very deserving.
Yeah. Hey, don't get me started. I won't. I don't want to say no more.
Hey, it's not your fault. It's not your fault.
It wasn't my fault back then, and it isn't my fault right now either. So.
Jimmy, before we go, give me one. I'm sorry.
Oh, you get me? Well, like if I just kicked you in the head or something like that, I would tell you, I'm sorry. I didn't really mean to do that. I'm sorry. Let me try that again.
I love it, man. I tell you what, I'm a big fan of those days, and I'm going to go back home tonight. I'm going to pop something in from 85, 86, and watch it all over again and enjoy it, man, because it's magical, it's gold, and I'm glad that you were a part of it, and I'm glad you were a part of our show today, Jimmy. And I love you, man. And
all right, buddy.
You have a good day, okay? And a happy anniversary to you. That's fantastic. And please tell Precious, on behalf of all of us here, we love her too, and she was an awesome entertainer as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and I'll talk to you later.
Sounds good, Jimmy. Take care, bud.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, safe travels. There you go. Jimmy Garvin right there, a good friend of mine joining us on Off the Top Rope Radio, and always love having him on the show. I mean, he is just fantastic to listen to and hear those stories and you know, relive the memories of the stuff. He talked about it. It wasn't rehearsed. It wasn't scripted. It was off the cuff. It was totally on the go. And I think that if you have talent in this business, that you don't have to have things written out for you line by line. If you're a movie star and you're on the stage and the screen or whatever else, there's certain things you got to follow. And just like in wrestling, you got to follow certain things. There's certain, parameters that you have to go by, But I mean, if you say, okay, here's the camera, it's on, here's the microphone, Friday night, April 15th, you're wrestling at the Rosemont Horizon and you're taking on King Kong Bundy. Go. And that's what you did. You were on your own. If you had a feud going, or if you were a heel and a face, anybody could lock up. You know what I'm saying? You go back to the day. I mean, Billy Jack Haynes, you're taking on Hercules. Boom, go. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Jake the Snake Roberts. I mean, anybody, heel or face. Ken Patera, you're facing Harley Race. Boston Garden, Thursday night. That's what it was all about, man. And I know I go back in time a lot and everything, but I know what I grew up watching. That's why I'm a fan today. Because people like Gorgeous Jimmy Garvin and Freebird Michael Hayes and Terry Gordy and Buddy Jack Roberts, Kevin Von Erich, Kerry, David, all of them, Mike, Chris, Fritz, Iceman Parsons, Chris Adams, the late great Chris Adams, Gino Hernandez. These were guys who had talent, and they had what it took to be the best in professional wrestling. And that's what they were. They were the best at the time. And I'm glad that they are now living their lives, those who are still with us, like Michael and Jimmy, who are out there doing things that they really enjoy. Because when you're doing something you love and everything else, it's not work. Jimmy loves to fly. He loves to go out there and see all the different cities. And Michael enjoys what he's doing by writing with NXT and everything else and the TV shows. And that's what it is. That's what makes it the best. So, unfortunately, we got to get out of here. But I really had a good time today, and I do hope that you guys enjoyed the interview and whatever else and listening to Jimmy Jam Garvin. And if you ever want to send us an email, I do welcome those at Brian at KQCKradio.com. Again, Brian, BRIAN at KQCKradio.com. As a matter of fact, what I'm going to do is the first person I receive an email from today, in the next, few minutes or whatever it takes, will get an autographed picture of Jimmy Jam Garvin. So there you go. And I'll even have them make it out to you personally if you'd like. So send an email to Brian at KQCKradio.com. Maybe put in the subject line Jimmy Garvin autograph or something like that. A comment or two about the show if you'd like, something you don't, whatever else. And I will give you an autographed picture of Jimmy Jam Garvin, and we'll communicate through email. That way it's all, on the cuff and private and everything else. So anyway, I do appreciate you all tuning in here on Off the Top Rope Radio. I want to thank Jimmy Jam Garvin. I want to thank Precious as well for all her dedication and whatnot. I want to thank Michael Hayes, the Freebird himself, for all those great memory moments there in their lives and just to get those reactions and comments from Jimmy Jam. That was fantastic. I also want to thank Doug, my buddy Doug McDonald from WrestlingRumors.net. He is the senior editor over there. All the great stuff out there. He comments on the news, and he does a really excellent job. So people, if you're out there, please check it out. And if you want to like us on Facebook, go to Off the Top Rope Radio. Find us. There's a picture of me somewhere on there so you know it's me, my ugly mug. And every Thursday night, we're right here on KQCK.com, 5 o'clock Pacific time here in California, Arizona area, and 8 o'clock Eastern out there on the East Coast. And don't forget, next week, we'll be having Chris Click from Click Jab Entertainment. We're going to be talking about the big Fan Fest interaction that's coming up here July 19th and the 20th from Phoenix and Tucson with people like Ric Flair, Bill Goldberg, Bret the Hitman Hart, Adam Copeland, Lisa Marie Varon. I mean, there's Taryn Terrell, Six-Pac. I guess a six-pack. I was thinking of a six-pack in my head because, I want to go have a beer. But six-pack, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, the NWO. There's going to be so many great people there at this, and I can't wait to have Chris on here to talk about it. So that's next week Action-packed. We'll see what happens next week as well, next Sunday on Money in the Bank. We appreciate you tuning in. We'll talk to you next week right here on Off the Top Rope Radio. Send us an email, like us on Facebook, get a hold of us one way or the other, and we definitely like to hear from you right here. So everybody take care. Have a nice week. Be safe out there. Remember, we'll see you at the matches. Thank you once again, wrestling fans, for listening to today's show. We would love to hear from you away from the airwaves, so we invite you to like our Facebook page at Off the Top Rope Radio. And any emails you want to send, please send them directly to me at Brian, BRIAN, at KQCKradio.com. We'll talk to you next week right here on KQCK Radio, USA, Costa Rica.